Hello from the city of Ba.
Ooh la la.
Today I'm with the one and only
Salma Eldali.
Saloomi. Guys,
Why did I
Salma,
say that with the deepest voice ever?
you're embodying the late night vibes here. But guys, in case you didn't know, which you probably didn't because I haven't had Salma on as a guest yet, but Salma is a woman that I hold very, very, very close to my heart. She is one of my girls for life. So I'm so grateful that she's here
I can't
today.
believe I'm on a Sims podcast. Oh my god.
Too much serotonin in the room
Too much.
But Salma is so on it and so dedicated. She had a conversation with her friend ChatGPT, and prepared a mini agenda.
Little agenda for you guys.
For our conversation tonight. But to give some context, I'm visiting Bath for the weekend, and there's the storm Darra.
I call it Storm Darren because it's a different name each time. But red warning, we went out.
Yeah, and we're recording a TikTok in light of Storm Darra, and this random guy came. Do you want to see what happened?
Yeah, we were doing a TikTok trend, and some random guy saw us film, and he was like, "Can I join?" We're like, "Yeah, of course." We stayed like 3 minutes. Shout out University of Bath Arab Sock. We used your TikTok for inspiration, and we told him for like 3 minutes. Next thing we know, he's in our TikTok.
He was like, "Hey, what are you guys doing?" We're like, "Oh, we're making a TikTok."
Drunk. Like, this is why I love Bath. Like, it was so funny.
We're like, "Yeah, come join." So check it out on TikTok. But that was so funny. And then we had a fun birthday party. Happy birthday, Nadine.
Happy birthday, Nadine.
I hope you feel better soon. But yeah, let's crack on with the agenda.
So this is actually like the topic today is inspired from a very late night conversation me and Salma had yesterday. And then
Salma and I always have these philosophical life conversations.
All the time. Like every day. But it mainly focuses around the idea of growth and what it takes to achieve that.
Facts.
But yeah, where do you want to start? It's like,
let's start.
There's so much to talk about. Like,
yeah.
I think about it, but I think like the first thing we can talk about is what do you think you need as a person in order to achieve growth? And when we say growth, we mean learning more about yourself.
I was gonna say
where you're like in the future, and
in terms of what what growth means to us, what about asking ourselves the question, how do we define growth?
Interesting.
What is growth to you?
For me, it's like I said before, it's understanding myself more and knowing, I guess, more about myself that helps me make future decisions. That is very like life impacting, if you know what I mean. Also, just changing things. I don't really like the word changing, I'll be honest, because like I like the idea that you are who you are and you don't need changing, but then also sometimes you need adapting, like you need tweaking a little bit, if you know what I mean. And that comes with life experiences. I find it very difficult to believe that you can grow without having like quote unquote traumatic experiences.
Really? I don't necessarily think
so. I feel like that's where real growth comes from, like genuinely going through stress, or not through stress, but through difficult moments where
I get that perspective.
You need to like embody something else to get through, if you know what I mean.
Like you're put in a position where you just have to look for something more.
Yeah, obviously you can also grow through really good life experiences and exploring new things and gratitude and all of these like different aspects that a lot of people talk about. But for me, I feel like I've grown the most, or I've learned the most about myself when I went through absolute shambolic stress. #uni.
Guys, for context, Salma studies pharmacy. I think that says a lot. No, credits to her, mashallah alayha, because it's a tough degree. But I think that it's definitely a valid point that traumatic or tougher experiences can lead to change and growth. But at the same time, when something good, really good happens to you, I guess this is not everyone, but when something really good happens to you, it can almost be some sort of like proving point to be like, wow, like this was worth it, or the pain I went through was worth it.
Yeah,
or
always.
But then I guess that supports your point. There's pain involved.
Anyone can go through stress. It's the mindset you have afterwards. And I guess like one of the points I want to mention is you have to have some sort of growth mindset or self-awareness of who you are now and who you achieve to be in the future, to like be able to look back at to be able to look back at previous experiences and be like, whoa, that taught me so much. Like I would not be who I am today had I not gone through that. And like understanding your strengths and your weaknesses and evaluating yourself, but also not to an extent where it becomes toxic, because people who are too self-aware, like it can also become damaging to your life, low-key.
Elaborate.
I don't know how to elaborate
like that. When you're too critical and too hard on yourself,
like too almost you also just kind of vibe at the same time. But
you know what's interesting, I love reflecting and always thinking about, okay, what did I do good, what did I do bad? But then I was talking to my colleague who's like a mentor to me this week, and she was saying, how often do you reflect? And I was like, oh, like, you know, I like to go to the park every week with my journal and reflect. She's like, why are you reflecting that often? She's like, okay, first of all, what does your reflection entail? Like I say, I do a lot of goal setting. She's like, goal setting every single week, like, do you have enough time to be achieving those goals every week? I guess it depends on the goals, because I do think it's important to reflect and think about, okay, what do I want to do next? But the type of goals I'm setting on a week-to-week basis are sometimes not super realistic. And I know that, okay, time is a construct that mankind made,
but it is also a very valuable tool that you can use, like, for yourself.
Yeah.
But time can be a whole other conversation.
100%.
Time itself.
This is leading.
I'm an Interstellar fan, and
guys, I haven't watched Interstellar.
She was like, let's watch it tomorrow.
Salma watched it 12 times, and I haven't watched it once.
I'm pretty sure it's an underestimation. Like that's just like,
really.
Yeah, definitely more.
I know it's a movie I need to watch, and I really want to watch it with you.
I just love intellectual movies. Yeah, I just love it.
That's why I want to watch it, but I want to watch it with you because you love it so much.
Seema.
But wait. What was I saying? Yeah. So I was like, you know what? I need more, like, instead of spending so much time reflecting and planning, I need time to execute on these plans and ideas. So
put it to practice almost.
I'm gonna try and approach planning and reflection in that way. Is that, well, how would you say you reflect? And then we'll go back to what you were gonna ask.
Ooh, I feel like sometimes I reflect too much again, where it becomes something that's like almost toxic to myself. Do you know what I mean? I feel like every now and then reflection, maybe, again, because something that you need for growth is like facing discomfort, facing challenges, and being able to look back at that and know that, okay, that was a situation I was not happy in. That's a situation I do not want to be in again. That is you growing. That is you learning about yourself. That is you reflecting on that moment and being like, okay, from now, again, you have to put it into practice, because people put themselves in that situation again. Hence, the growth is not productive. It's not
you're
growth.
Not learning.
It's just you're learning, but you're not putting it to practice. But then if you're someone who can identify that was something you're not happy with, and that's something you want to change about yourself, about your life, about people around you put it to practice, that equals growth. It's like, again, like basically like a mathematical equation. That sounds really mathematical.
But I guess it does depend on everyone, because even the whole thing with like me journaling every week, if it works for me, maybe it doesn't work for someone else. Or as long as you're doing what suits you and what's actually making you grow, where like what you just said, you are putting it to practice.
I have a question.
Go for it.
To what extent do you feel like people around you have an influence on your growth?
Ooh.
Because a lot of people are like, having good friends around you influences you in certain way, and having bad people around you influences you in certain ways. But then when is it actually a you change?
at the end of the day, it is you who has to make the change, isn't it?
Yeah.
But the people around you make such a big difference subconsciously, and you don't even realize.
100%.
They always say your friends are your future.
Yeah.
Or show me your friends, I'll show you your future.
Oh, interesting.
That's a really
I
cool
like
quote.
that.
But it's weird because I do feel like lots of the people I surround myself with, I don't know, because no one's perfect at the end of the day, you know?
Yeah.
But there's a lot that you can control and that people can control. So people being imperfect is not the best reason to surround yourself with people who maybe you feel are not
Because, okay,
as
to
aligned
bring in,
with you.
like, this is more of a religious point of view of something. But when it comes to, let's say, religious growth, or for me that would be Islamic growth, there's this idea in Islam, or like this thought process, that isolating yourself for this certain period of time will be like you'll get so close to God, and winter arc, but like Islamic arc, you know, like isolate yourself, stay away from everyone, read your Quran every day, like our holy book, like read it every day, this and that, pray, this and that. Okay, to some extent I can see that being useful, but then also for me, growth has come the most from being surrounded by my community, like
same
by my community, like being with other people, being with other Muslims, like them teaching me things, me teaching them things, me like finding things in my community that I want to change or like have an impact in.
I get you.
So to an extent, isolation is necessary, where like maybe that can be your moment of reflection, but I don't believe in the fact that growth only comes from isolation. I think you have to be around other people that can teach you.
It's the balance, isn't it?
Yeah. But I really put an emphasis on community. Like that's so important. I think it's so
because
important.
you learn from people
100%,
and people can help you and guide you. Like I've learned so much from you about Islam, and not only Islam but growth and self-development. And hearing different perspectives is important. And people can simplify, I think, your journey, you know? Because I could be sitting trying to find a lot... If we're talking about religion, I could be sitting trying to, like, I don't know, memorize the surah. And then you could show me a simple technique for how to... Or, like, not even memorizing, but understanding. You can help explain something to me if there's something I don't understand. But I do think it's important to have that time... If we're talking, especially in the sense of religion, like it's at the end of the day, religion is you and your relationship with God or whatever you believe in. So, in my experience, like having a balance is good.
Also, like we're talking about growth and what it takes to grow. But why is growth important in the first place? Like, why is understanding yourself important for you? Like for me, you're pausing there.
I'm thinking. I'm processing the question.
But as in, like for me, it's because I know that the more I understand about myself, the better I'm able to like make future decisions. As I said in the beginning, and I know like a very, topic of interest here is marriage and like having a family in the future. For me, I have to have a certain understanding of myself before I can let someone else in, or like because I feel like it's impossible for you to let someone in fully into your life unless you like fully understand yourself.
You know what you want.
I don't think you can actually fully understand yourself. Same way with fully understanding someone else. You will never know,
because you're also always we said we don't. You said you're not fond of the word change, but you are changing.
We are changing all the time, or we are adapting.
But it's like when people get married and then they become different people and they outgrow each other. You know, like, that happens.
I saw actually like a video of someone speaking about this specific issue and how people who get married and they let go of like their hobbies and things that they enjoy to do, and they lose themselves. Do you know what I mean? Because their whole life becomes that other person, or their whole life becomes their marriage or their significant other, or their whole life, again, mothers, like their whole life become their children and taking care of the children and this and taking them to school and make their food, and do you get what I mean? And being like the school of the like I forgot the word, but mothers are like the teachers, the nurturers. So people, when they lose themselves, it's because they're losing things that they losing the ability to do things that they used to enjoy.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? They don't do things that they used to hobbies and
make less time for
painting and
themselves,
going on walks, and they don't do that anymore. So they lose themselves in that sense, and in that way you can't grow, because you're just down falling, like you're stepping down.
Well, you're prioritizing your family, because a lot of the time, like, parents have to do that, right?
Yes, but also in order for your family to thrive,
personally,
I believe
there's less growth.
Yes, but in order for your family to thrive, I believe you have to keep onto yourself. For your children to be able to keep learning things about you and to keep, like, getting that nurturing from you, you need to, like, continue to be yourself, to hold on to that. Because everyone, like, you can see with parents that are, like, they're losing themselves, the kids are going to lose themselves too, you know? The mom and the dad, they're the like backbones of the family.
You know how
they need to keep to themselves their hobbies, their passion, so that the kids, like, are learning these things from them too, like, to keep onto themselves, to learn and like be resilient and be grateful, and all of these things that comes from the parents, and the parents have to keep that up.
Speaking of the parents' role, you know how there's a general consensus that people shouldn't be parents until they're a certain level of English until they've reached a certain level of stability, not only financially but also mentally and, like, even physically. Are they able to take care and raise an actual child? Like, this is a whole human being that you're going to bring into the world.
That's so scary.
Do you think there's a certain point where people can feel like, okay, I'm now ready, like, mentally I feel like I can take on this challenge?
I have no idea. Like, I was wondering the same thing, because when do you know you're ready to have a child and take care of it? And
like, at what point?
I always have this fear inside of me that I'm gonna raise a kid that really bad, but I feel like in a way that also makes you a good parent.
That means, like, you're worried and you care. You actually care.
But it's kind of, I don't know.
Well, girl, I know you're gonna be.
There's so much you can do wrong. Do you get what I mean? There's so much people, like, don't teach a child this, don't talk to a child like this, don't feed a child this, don't this and that, and it's like, okay, but what can I do?
What you can do is do your best.
It makes it look like the only people who can raise children right are, like, psychologists that understand the child's mind, but
then sometimes it's the opposite, because sometimes maybe they know too much, so it can maybe feel like a lot of pressure to the child. I think a parent just has to do their best and be willing to be open-minded, because every kid is going to be different and kids can surprise parents. Also, there's the whole nature versus nurture debate. You know, a parent can be really good and maybe their child doesn't turn out the way that they expected, let's say, or in accordance to the way that they raised them. Or vice versa, like, so a kid might not have the best upbringing, but they turn out to be, like, a great person regardless. To what extent do you think it's nature versus nurture?
This reminds me of psychology. I love
we actually didn't do this in IB Psych, but we did it in GCSE.
Wow. We've really just gone off the growth track, but this is an interesting question.
But this is all about growth.
I guess, in a way. Like,
it's rooted in growth.
I think the idea of nurture is so important. You know, like, nature, of course, like your genes and just the way you were born, that plays a huge factor. But I like the idea that you can almost change your nature by nurture. Like, you obviously can't change your genes, but I don't think your genetics is what makes you kind. Your genetics is what makes you generous. Your genetics is what makes you grateful. Like, all of these, like, more things that are from your nafs, like your soul, is more nurture and more how you, like, become resilient and how you have purpose and motivation. And
do you believe people change?
Yes.
People can change? Well, okay, obviously we all change, actually, but I mean really at the core change. Like, let's say someone who's made lots of mistakes.
100%. I think every single person has the capacity to change, but I don't believe that you have the capacity to change someone if they don't want to change. And that becomes very difficult, because you'll see in so many relationships, like romantic, friendship, parents and versus children, like, all of these things, it's like a fight to try and change this person for how you want them to be, for how you expect them to be, and how you expect them to act, and
molding
things like
them
that.
into.
But unless that person is willing to change, it's not gonna happen, because you can't like ever reach someone that deep inside. Change is something from within. Like from the outside, maybe they act in a certain way, but change genuinely comes from the inside. It's down to the person. And it's very much down to the person. So if this is why for me it's important to kind of identify people around you that like you have a really high expectation of, but if they let you down and you know that that's something they're not going to change, and or like that maybe the relationship you have with them is not as important as you thought, then these people for me are worth letting go, because they will do nothing but hurt you, like not intentionally, but because you keep having that expectation. And for me, a really like important example of that is friendships. Like you have an expectation that maybe this friend considers you a very close person, but then you realize that they don't put in the same effort, or they don't like prioritize you hanging out with you and doing all these things as much as you are with them. Then it's not reciprocated. It's on you to change your expectation rather than it's on them to change. Does that make sense? So for you, it's your job to change your expectation and be like, khalas, this person like is not on the same wavelength as me about this friendship or relationship or whatever, and it's my job to lower my expectations and invest less time in them, and instead in more time into things that feed me, and more relationships that will feed you and like help you grow. Yes. Wow, what a cyclical structure. But yes, like again, this all links to the fact that growing or growth takes action and consistency. Like that's so important. Small consistent steps. This is what ChatGPT said. Growth requires action. Small consistent steps often lead to long-term transformation. So why do people struggle to take the first step, and how can they overcome it? In what sense? I don't know. This is a robotic question. Well, there can be many reasons people, like what we were talking about yesterday, like struggling to take the first step around hijab, for example. Interesting. Yeah, we did talk about that. Because someone can not really care what other people think. Maybe someone else does, and that's their reason. But a lot of it is dependent on the person and their life context, their situation, you know. Like, we are all a theory I love in psychology is, well, it's not really a theory, it's an actual thing, but I think. But schemas. Did you learn about schemas in memory? Like your schema is like a framework or blueprint of your life, and thinking framework. Your schema is influenced by your beliefs, your upbringing, your interests. The example they always use in psychology was, you see a man dressed in a hood up something, and you assume like he's gonna rob something, but that's just yours. I don't know, like something. Maybe like because you had an experience where you saw a man and he robbed, and you have a stereotypical belief or a schema that makes you have that assumption. Yeah, but is that not also like assimilation? I need to refresh my psych theories, because they're honestly so important and so helpful. Like when everything is fresh in my brain. Who would have thought A level would be A level? No, genuinely, like I used these theories on a day-to-day basis. I would see them being applied in my life. The example they used was Nando's. Really? Yeah, I remember they said like when you walk into a restaurant, you expect like you've never been there before, you're likely to have a restaurant schema. Like the one where it's like you go, you expect to be greeted by someone, you look at the menu, decide what to eat, then you someone will come to get the order from you, and then you get the food and whatever, right? But then in certain restaurants it's different. They have a different way of serving food and things like that, but you have that schema in your head because you're going there for the first time, you don't know. Yeah. But then after you go to that restaurant, here's where it gets interesting. After you go to the restaurant and you realize it's different, and maybe you don't like him. Maybe you're like, this is an experience I didn't enjoy.
Yeah.
Would you go there again? Like, the assumption is no, right? That's where you grow. That's where you've learned something about yourself. Because now you've learned that you don't like the restaurant where you go in and you have to go to the counter and, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You like the idea of being sat on a like a nice table, and someone comes to you and they like write the thing on the paper.
You learned about your preference.
Exactly. And that example I think is really nice, because you can.
Did they teach you this in A level?
What?
Like, they gave you this example when they taught you the theory?
They always mention Nando's. I don't remember how it fits in, but I just remember it was a restaurant schema. But I like the idea how we can link that to growth, or what we said earlier about the part of growing and part of learning about yourself is being in situations where you're not comfortable. Do you get what I mean? Whether that's like genuine, like
a lot of growth happens when you leave your comfort zone.
Like, for me, I always imagine it being in a group of friends that, like, I don't feel fulfilled in, or I don't feel like I'm getting energy back, or stuff like that. I learned this year that the most important thing for you to do is, like, you owe it to yourself to always stand up for yourself, or like leave a situation you're not happy with, because especially at university, no one is forcing you to be anywhere.
Yeah.
The reason why you're in this particular place with these particular people is because you took yourself there. No one else
took. Like a social setting.
Yes. Like, if you're not happy with it, you don't have to go. You know?
Yeah.
You shouldn't, like...
And it can be hard to leave the situation.
It can be so hard.
But when you do it...
It feels like... Yeah, you might feel FOMO or whatever, but it's almost fulfilling. Like,
JOMO.
Joy of missing out. I like that.
Or ROMO, relief of missing out.
No, but for me, like, especially my third year, I realized... First of all, I don't have time. Like... I don't have time anymore for testing friendships out, like being in situations I'm not happy with. Like, I don't have much of uni left.
You've done your time.
You know, so I'm just like, if this is my last few years where I can, like, in the least arrogant way, think about myself 24/7, it is like, this is what uni is for, essentially. You learn things about yourself, you do things for yourself, you cook for yourself, you eat for yourself, like, you clean for yourself, the
whole journey is about you. These are the years.
Exactly.
Focus on yourself.
So it's...
I mean, focus on yourself in terms of realizing what you like.
So it's like, because I feel like I spent my first 2 years of uni putting so much effort into friendships that they did not sustain. Do you get what I mean? So it's... And that in turn...
some didn't, some didn't.
Yeah. So many of them, alhamdulillah, like, especially with you, they sustain very well, and like, for me, will every day be worth putting energy into. But then there are other friendships where it's like, I spent 2 years genuinely trying, putting in effort, and I don't feel like I got that back. Maybe like they tried and it didn't work, but either way, I don't feel like I got it back. And it's fine. Like, finally in 30, I realized, like, khalas, who's forcing me to, like, to have this friendship with them? It's fine. Like, the life's not gonna end if we're not close anymore. So at some point, you just have to let them go. You can still be in, like, contact with them, see how they're doing, but if it's...
You change the dynamic of the friendship.
If it's hurting you, like, if it's draining you to put in so much energy into friendships that it's not giving back, it's not worth it for you and yourself. Like, again, I like this quote, not quote, but this, like, phrase in my head is that you owe it to yourself, you know? Especially in situations like, this is a kind of a different topic, but if someone is doing something that you're not happy with, or you, like, usually wouldn't accept from other people, you owe it to yourself to stand up for yourself and tell that person, I don't appreciate that you did that. Like,
to communicate.
Yeah, not to be confrontational, not to cause an argument, but because you, like, again, you owe it to yourself for that person to know that they shouldn't do that to you again, you know?
What if it was in a scenario where you didn't know, you weren't meant to know that they did that? That's a sticky situation.
Yeah, it's very sticky. But I guess the main principle is there, like, it depends on how much that affected you, but the main principle is that you again, you owe it to yourself, especially at uni. Like, you actually do, because it's not worth some things people will do, and it's like, khalas, you're not even close to them anyway. Like, you don't have to really cause not an argument, but you don't have to cause anything. You just leave it. But then
it
other
depends,
relationships,
because
they're
if it's a big thing, sometimes it is worth speaking to them about.
I'm talking about like small things that, like, by someone you not that you don't care about them, but they don't have much impact on your life. But then with certain people and certain friendships that you have, and they do something that's like you genuinely wouldn't accept, don't step on eggshells. We said that today because like one of our friends was in the same situation, and we told her, don't step on eggshells.
Just
like,
be
this person hurt you, they did something that you wouldn't have done back, and you put in effort in a very opposite way that they did. Like, she put in so much effort for this person who gave 0. Do you know what I mean? So you were like, don't step on eggshells. Tell them you are not happy with that. You know?
Yeah.
So let's see if she did.
Yeah, actually, we should check.
We should check.
But we said to give it some...
Another situation, like, with, again, the whole thing about stepping on eggshells, it's like, why? Like, of course...
But you're one of the people who I know who are really good at this. You're better than I am.
It took, like, I used to not be, actually. I used to be very scared of... I don't like the word confrontational, because I feel like standing up for yourself shouldn't be categorized as confrontational. It should be, you know, like, you're not...
But is standing up for... being confrontational always standing up for yourself? It could be for someone else.
It makes it sound like you're causing an argument, low-key. But as in, you can...
It depends how you interpret
it. You
can
can very easily go to someone and be like, I didn't appreciate that you did that. I would, like... This is how I would have preferred it went down.
That's also just clear communication.
Yeah, exactly. Like, again, to stand up for yourself, you have to communicate it very well. Because, again, I said, why do people step on eggshells? The main reason why is because they're scared of something happening to that relationship. But then again, if something is to happen, was that relationship as firm as you thought it was? That's a question you should be asking yourself. It
depends how many times and what happened.
Exactly. But if, for example, let's say you did something I wasn't happy with, and just for context, guys, he was like my soulmate, bro. Like, if you did something that I wasn't happy with, and I came to you, and I was like, Seema, I didn't appreciate that you did that, this and that, and you're like, okay, like, and it ends up being that, like, something in our friendship changed or broke or, like, weakened, then I would be questioning, like, whoa, were we even that close to begin with? Because I wouldn't expect that from you. I would expect clear communication, and khalas, we move forward, we change. I would, like, change the world for you. Do you know what I mean? If I, like, I'm hoping that if I had done something wrong, I changed for that to improve. Yeah. Right, because that for me is worth it. It's a relationship worth doing that for.
Yeah.
But then if someone's not going to do that for you, then you need to question, am I worth that for them? And if you're not, then again, going back to lowering your expectations.
But it depends also, because you shouldn't have to change something that isn't you. Obviously, like,
what do you mean?
In the context that it's like not something irrational or, like, you know. But let's say, like, what's a good example? Like, if it's a more personality thing, or you know what I mean.
Personality is very hard to change.
That's what I mean.
When
like,
when I'm talking about this thing,
to change for someone.
Yeah, I'm talking more about actions.
Yeah, okay. That
personality,
makes sense.
I don't think you can change anyone's personality. Yeah, that's like 0 success rate. But like, asking someone to change their actions towards you, I think is so valid. Because, to an extent, because it's the actions that's hurting you. Because, again, the intention, you never know someone's intention. You never know. It's actually very interesting, because we talked about this in our Quran, like, Arabic lesson in the mosque.
Really?
And we were like, it's so hard. You will never know someone's intention. Just because someone's wearing full abaya and niqab, everything, you will never know, like, deep inside their inner hijab. Do you get what I mean? So it's...
we were talking, by the way, just to the audience, about the concept of inner versus outer hijab.
Yeah, because we
And
learned
how
that in
it's
the
very
Arabic
different.
thing. It's very different.
And to the non-Muslims listening, that is, by the way, like hijab doesn't necessarily mean like in Islam.
Covering, it means...
How would you define it?
Oof, hijab is...
That's a whole other episode too.
Episode 2, we're running up.
Damn, it's been 35 minutes.
Wow.
I didn't realize.
Wow, we really yapped.
But no, like, how would you define hijab?
Hijab for me, because I'm a hijabi for context. It's something that's like... That is so difficult.
It's all about beauty from within.
I don't think it's all, like, I don't know if it's about beauty. It's about...
Actually.
It's about how you present yourself. Or how, like, again... An example I like to use for people who are not very familiar with like the concept of hijab or covering yourself, I like to use the idea that, okay, if you have a football team that you love so much, the first thing you're gonna do is wear a jersey that represents the football team. Like you respect that football team. You like wanna show everyone that you like that football team and you're proud of it.
Yeah.
And you're part of that like team and whatever.
Yeah.
For me, it's the same thing. I'm so proud of Islam, like being a Muslim. That's something I'm very proud of and something I want to showcase. And I want people to know I'm Muslim. And I want people to know that because I'm a Muslim, I have boundaries and I have like things about me that I'm not going to be happy with and like places I'm not going to be and things like that.
Yeah.
And for me, that's what hijab in a way is like an outer covering. I'm talking about the outer covering here. That's what it does for me. I'm representing something that I love.
Yeah.
You know, my religion. But then the inner hijab is something more... It's not necessarily a covering, but it's more about like how you're nourishing your soul to be someone who's grateful, to be someone who's mindful of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Like this mindfulness is, I think, number one. If you're not someone who's mindful of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it does not matter what you're wearing from the outside, you're finished, bro. You're actually finished. Like, do you know what I mean? This goes for men and women, by the way. Because there's so much emphasis on women and like what are women wearing, and
it applies to both.
She's showing her beauty and this and that and khalas. Like, okay, it's important because it's a fard in Islam, but then also like we need to focus more on the inner inside, because
beauty
again
from within.
Just to link it back to growth, because that's our topic of today. I think for me, because we can talk about growth in a very general aspect.
You're tickling me. Don't touch the knee.
Context, we're like cuddling in bed right now.
Well, we're not actually cuddling. No. We're just chilling in bed.
We're just chilling in bed. What was I saying? Yes, growth we can talk about very generally, but then for me, growth always comes like religiously. For me, like Islamic growth equals life growth, equals personality growth, equals everything growth, equals learning about myself growth, equals everything. Because like me being more... and I'm speaking from experience, by the way. I feel like past me was so less mindful of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Like, especially, you know, in your teenage years, you're a bit more rebellious. Like, I was crazy. I'm crazy.
I feel like I was one of the only teenagers who just... I generally don't feel that different. I've changed and grown so much, but no, like, I don't even feel like I had a rebellious phase. Like, I was just one of those...
I'm pretty sure I went through like 2 years of my life just not thinking about God whatsoever, which is crazy to me. It's actually crazy.
Wow.
Because now there's not a day that goes by, not a single day that goes by, which is obviously important, because a day not remembering Allah and not remembering the blessings you have from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and like the opportunities you have is a day wasted. Is a day away from growth. You know what I mean? It's a day away from improving that inner hijab for you, inner covering or whatever. And then in Arabic, like, we call that nafs, or like, it's very difficult or because there's several words for like your soul and your like the self, right? That's something inside. That's something no one else can touch but you. No one has access to except Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Yeah.
No one. No matter how close you are with someone, no one has access to that.
That's why earlier I was saying it's about you and your relationship with God, and that alone time is important
Exactly.
because it's such a sacred relationship.
Definitely.
And
so like
it's very personal.
And then before when we said when I said growth comes from going through like trauma, I did mention you need trauma, but then also a huge thing is like the trials you go through in life, like genuine struggles that you go through, like periods of time in your life where you're like, I actually can't get through this. I don't know, like it can be very religious, it can be very non-religious, depends person to person.
And even everything happening.
It could be financial struggle, it can be family struggles, it can be friendship struggles, it could be any like stability struggles. I don't know what it is. It could be, but that's being able to identify that and be like, okay, this is a trial from Allah subhanahu, this is a test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm losing it, man. It's like 1 a.m.
I'm losing it.
When you identify that, then you can change that trial into a blessing.
Yeah.
Right? Like I can't think of an example on top of my head. Like there's so many examples, but like almost anything, it can be a trial. But then almost every time, if you have that growth mindset, if you have that like Allah, mindfulness to Allah or God, like for any religion, if you have that mindset, you will be able to later on identify that as a blessing. You know, you'll be like, I'm so grateful I went through that. And that's something I hear a lot with Muslims. Like, I went through this, but I'm so grateful because had I not gone through that, I wouldn't be like this.
Yeah.
Had I not gone through that, I wouldn't be this close to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But then also you'll see people who went through something, and by the way, it can be a good thing too. They can be given something good and it will actually take them away from Allah. Why? Because they didn't link that they didn't have a mindfulness of Allah. They had the blessing and they didn't link it to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Once you are able to link either a blessing or a trial to Allah,
link it back to the gratitude, and
you're fine, you're chilling. If you don't, you're finished.
That's why something I always try to remind myself is to remember to be grateful during and to make the time for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Always.
During the good and the bad. Not only during the bad, not only when you need help or when you need guidance, but when things are alhamdulillah like doing good, and or you feel settled or in a state of comfort, let's say. It's just so important to remember like you are where you are because of the support you got from God, like tawakkul, like your efforts alongside God's support. So it's always important to sit and be grateful, and or even for people who are not so religious, like just taking the time to sit and be like, I'm like glad for where I am. And it's hard to think in a non-religious aspect because I am a religious person, but
something I find interesting, just to add on to this, I know it has to be 20 minutes. Like,
it's fine.
We're 43 minutes in.
Time is a social construct.
If you're listening to this, I appreciate you.
If you're listening to this, if you know us personally, send us a message to let us know
that you're 43 minutes and 30 seconds in.
Even if you don't know us personally, just send us a message or comments on the pod. What imagine there's like no comments.
There won't be. Anyway, something I find really interesting to add on is the idea that we are given tools. This is where it gets even more interesting. Do you remember how we said nature and nurture? Yeah. I think nature, like nature is something we're assuming something you're born with, something genetic, something like very statistical, very like scientific, right? You're born with it, you're like this because of this gene and this whatever. Nurture is like,
would you like to hold this? The phone? Thank you.
Yes. Nurture is you're like this because of an experience you had, because of a relationship you've had, because of a teaching you've had, right? I think that this nature part of it is tools that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put inside of you in your personality to help you get through very tailored and specific trials that was made for you. And an example I love to think about is Sayyidina Yusuf. Prophet Yusuf.
Yeah.
Because...
Saloomi. I know. Don't say that. You only say that for Muhammad.
Sayyidina Muhammad,
yeah.
Sayyidina Yusuf was given, like, he was so analytical. Like, he had a very analytical, smart mind. You know what I mean? He's like one of those people that can think very wisely. Not even wisely, like, he's very analytical. You know, you can assess situations very well. You can see, like, where you can fit in and you know what I mean? Just from, like, stories you hear and the relationship he had with his dad and his dreams that he used to have, you know? And that's something Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala instilled in him. And had he not had that, it would be so difficult to go through the trials that he did. Because every person has their own trials tailored towards them. This goes for the prophets, this goes for me and you.
Yeah.
Right? And I like it because then when you read later into Sayyidina Yusuf's story, you realize, okay, the part where he's working with, I think it was the Egyptian government. He was... This is very difficult to talk about because I'm not too sure 100%, but because he had that analytical mind, he was able to interfere within the Egyptian government and then be someone of high priority in that government. You know, which is it was a huge contrast to how he used to be before. And also, even more interestingly, like, it's a complete contrast to Sayyidina Musa. But anyway, I'm not going to get into that today. Because that's like a whole different thing. I suggest a podcast or talk from...
The Prophet Stories?
Numan Ali Khan. He talks about the differences between Sayyidina Musa and Sayyidina Yusuf. And there's like 100, yin and yangs between them. It's very cool. But anyway, the idea is that we are given tools, whether that's through our personality. Like, for some people that can be being able to stand up for yourself really good, and for other people it can be being emotional and like having that sense of like empathy, like, you know what I mean? Everyone's different. But because you have those tools and you have like these things about you, you can use them to get through the nurture part of your life. So you're using that nature to get through the nurture. Or through nurture you can change the nature almost. Which is, I think, very cool.
But what you were saying about being tested, nature versus nurture, I love the quote, or not the quote, but it's in the Quran, I believe, that Allah does not burden a soul beyond what it can bear.
Yeah.
Like, everyone is tested with tests that are personalized to them, and
I actually
we all have
find that interesting
challenges
because I wonder if, because me personally, I hear that ayah a lot, but then you'll have people like, sorry for the trigger warning, but you'll have people like who can't generally not get through their struggles and they end their life because of it, right? That's something they couldn't bear, right? So for me, I'm like, what if, I feel like I told you this in year 2, like in our house, but what if that ayah is actually regarding the responsibilities Allah gave you in this life? Like, Allah hasn't given you more responsibilities than what you can bear, you know? And part of that responsibility could be getting through your trials. That's the responsibility you have for yourself. Like, low-key.
Wait, rephrase that.
Like, which part?
About
as in there's so much responsibilities we have on this earth. We have responsibility to our parents. We have responsibility to our friends. Like, we have people who get married and have children. Like, you have a responsibility to give your husband their rights, and for the husband to give the wife their rights, and to give your children their rights, and to give your sister her rights, and to give your friend her rights, and to give the stranger on the street his rights, and all of this is all your responsibilities. So much responsibilities, but none of it is more than what you can bear. This is how I see it. But I like the idea that it can also mean trials. But then my question in to what extent does trials become too much where someone like would end their life because of it? Because that's something they couldn't bear. You know, and it's difficult when you think about it.
That is a very interesting one. I think I need to be more educated before I can...
You can have your interpretation of it, but like, you know.
But I'm curious to know, like, genuinely from like a scholar's perspective, or someone who's really studied the religion, how they would resolve that doubt, like when it's that extent, how does... Because I don't know, that's just a very touchy topic.
Yeah, 100%.
So I don't know how I would answer that.
Yeah, but anyway, like, wow, we jumped through so many topics. But yeah, I like all of these things because they do link to growth at the end of the day. And improving. Yeah. And guys, Seema's falling asleep right now. She's falling asleep.
It's always I feel I'm in a very comfortable setting. Like,
I take that as a compliment.
No, but genuinely, this is something I always say. But people who I'm very, very comfortable around, whose voices I find very soothing, they make me sleepy. Like, I have this one friend.
Are you saying my voice is soothing?
It is. I have this one friend from Dubai. Her name is Sarah. She was like a really good classmate, and oh my god, her voice is so soothing. I always get sleepy when she talks because I'm so like comfortable around her. I'll literally be in class and she's talking and I can get sleepy.
Should I make my voice uncomfortable so you wake up?
No, but I'm so happy that we had a nice conversation.
Definitely.
And everyone who's listening is blessed to hear your knowledgeable insights.
No, but in a way, I feel like everything we spoke about today, nothing is new. Like, this is stuff people know already.
But everyone,
it's nice to dissect
it's influenced by us and our schemas. It's influenced by our unique thoughts and ideas. So it is new because it's from you, and that's different.
Yeah.
It has your personalized Salma touch to it.
Interesting.
And no one will ever hear it from you other than by hearing directly from you.
Whoever made it this far, I respect you.
You a G.
You're a G.
And if you want Salma as a guest again, let us know, because
we'll reunite.
I would love her to come to be
just
a guest
for this,
again.
we'll reunite. But to wrap up, do we conclude or do we leave it where we are at?
Say anything else you'd like to say.
I guess we can leave it at a question. Like,
ask the audience a question. What is growth to you?
What is growth to you?
How do you define it?
I don't want to know, by the way. Keep it to yourself.
I want to know. Let me know.
Drop it in Seema's comments.
Or tell me, even if you don't want anyone else to see.
It's an introspective question. Is that what you say?
What? Sorry?
When you ask someone a question, but you don't expect an answer. It's just for them
rhetorical
to think.
Question.
Yes, that's the type of question this is.
But
rhetorical.
We hope this gave you some serotonin.
Some serotonin. Is this what? Yeah, some
That's
serotonin.
That's my outro. And have a lovely evening, everyone.
Peace out.
Bisous. Thanks, Salma, for coming on.
No problem.